Hello everybody. Recently I did a video on how to connect two routers on a home network using a LAN cable. As you see here, these two are the two routers I used. And I got a lot of questions on that video on how to connect a third router to that whole system. So today I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to go through connecting two first, and then we're going to connect a third router. And all these routers will see each other. They will all be using Wi-Fi. And they'll all be connected with a LAN cable, and they will all be sharing the internet. So just like the first video where I showed how to connect two, we're going to do three. Now, I'm using a LAN cable to connect all three, but you can use power line adapters, but I'm not going into that in this video. I will do a video in the future where I use a power line adapter instead of a LAN cable to do this same thing. Here's the network diagram of what I'm going to configure in this video. I've got my main router, which is the NetG, connected with a LAN cable over to my secondary router, which is the TpLink WRA41N. And then from there, I got another LAN cable that's going to go from it to the TpLink WDR4300. Now, all these routers will be part of the same network. They'll all be sharing or they'll all be supplying Wi-Fi to clients. And they will also all allow you to connect laptops through Wi-Fi, or tablets through Wi-Fi, or hardwired clients like PCs through a LAN cable or LAN connection. So basically, all three will be able to do the same function, and they'll all be part of the same network. They'll all be sharing internet between each other, and every device connected to any one of these three routers will be able to see the other another device on the network. They'll all be part of the same network. So pretty cool setup. Now, first thing we need to do is determine what the structure of this router network is going to be by finding out what the IP address of your home router is. So let's first do that. Let me minimize this out of the way. So I'm connected to my router or my home network through Wi-Fi. Here we go, NetG 73, that's my connection. But you may be connected differently. But regardless, finding out the IP address of your home router is pretty simple. Right-click your network icon down here, choose Open Network and Sharing Center, and then go to Change Adapter Settings over here. And then you'll see all your network connections. Now, of course, I'm connected through Wi-Fi, so that's what's active here. If you were connected through Ethernet or LAN cable, then your Ethernet would be active. But regardless, the procedure of getting the IP address is the same. Just right-click your network icon, the active one, then choose Status, then go to Details. And under Details, you'll see all your IP and network configuration information. Basically, the information that actually counts is the default gateway, the DHCP server, and the DNS server. You'll note that they're all the same IP address, 192.168.1.1. Okay, that's significant. So that's the IP address of your home network. Make sure you write that down or note it somehow. I can just remember it, but that is going to be the basis of the IP numbers you're going to use to assign to the other routers. So let's just minimize this stuff out of the way. We'll close it and go back to our network diagram. So I'm going to go over here. Now I've got this all labeled out, but my IP address on my primary was 192.168.1.1, and the third number, or the third octet of the number on that router, determines the network. So whatever you found, if you found 192.168.0.1, then basically you would change the third octet on all your routers or all the devices you're assigning an IP address to X. So if it was 0, then here instead of 1 you'd have a 0. That's determined by X here, and same on the third router. If it's 2 or 3 or whatever it is, whatever that third number is, it should be the same on all the other routers. Then you'll change the last number appropriately from 1 to 2 and from 2 to 3 on the third router. Okay, so that's going to be the structure of our network and what you need to do to connect these three routers and have them all see each other. All right, so next thing we need to do is actually configure the IP addresses on these two other routers we're connecting, because more than likely they will not be correct. So we're going to physically connect the TP-Link WRA41N And as well, after that, after connecting it and setting it up correctly, we're going to physically connect the WDR 4300 as well. So let's do that, and I'll show you how to do that physically on my laptop. All right, I've got the router powered up. This is going to be router number 2. And basically what we're going to do is take a patch cable, and I suggest using Cat5e or higher capability cables or designated cables because they're more reliable and faster. Now, if you don't know what kind of cable you have, it's usually written right on it. Mine says it right on there, Cat5e. And if it's not written on your cable, then more than likely you have something lower like a Cat5 cable. So again, try and use Cat5e or upgrade to Cat5e as it's faster and more reliable. So we're going to take this cable and plug it into any one of the orange ports on this router. And the orange ports on this router are the LAN ports. The blue port is the internet port or the WAN port. We're not going to be using that in this configuration. So what I usually do with that blue port, just so that nothing ever gets plugged into it and expect it to work, I just put a piece of black tape over it like so, and cover it up so that no one plugs anything into it. So we're going to take the cable, plug it into any one of those 4 ports, and then take the other side of that cable and plug it into our LAN or network port on the actual laptop. So now we're going to log into the laptop, and I'll show you how to get the IP address on this thing and then how to set it correctly for our configuration. All right, we got it connected. Let's go down here to our network icon, the bottom right hand corner. Right click it, choose Open a Network Sharing Center. Go to Change Adapter Settings. And you see that we're connected through Wi-Fi and Ethernet, but we want to know what the Ethernet information is because that's where the router is actually connected. So let's right click it, choose Status, then Details, and then we note down here that the default gateway, DHCP server, and DNS server are all on 192.168.0.1. So that's where that router's IP address is. So let's close this up. We're going to open up a browser window here, and we're going to go to 192.168.0.1. Now, TpLink's default username and password to log in is admin for the username, admin for the password, all lowercase. So, if you've got one of these routers and you haven't changed the username and password, which I suggest you do, the defaults are admin and admin. So let's go admin. I left mine on the defaults just for the sake of brevity here. Log in. And I've reset this router to its default settings, so that's where you end up. You end up in this quick setup screen. We don't care about that. First thing we need to do is go to DHCP over here, and we need to disable DHCP. You can't have more than one DHCP server on a network. It just wreaks havoc. So we're going to disable it here, and click Save. All right, and it says it won't change until it reboots. Well, we're going to reboot it, so just hit OK here. And next thing we need to do is set the network IP address for it. So we're just going to go over here to Network and LAN. And here you can see it's 192.168.0.1. We're going to change it, actually, we're going to change it to 192.168.1.2. Okay, that's what we need to do to get that to go right. So we're going to hit Save here and hit OK. So now it's going to reboot, and we're going to lose it here in a second because it's going to change its IP address from 192.168.0.1 to 1.2. So at this point, we're done with this router as far as setting up its configuration for IP information. So we'll just let this reboot. I'm going to close this off or just minimize it and detach that router and go and show you how to connect the third router physically to this laptop, and then we're going to do the same thing again. Our third router will be the same procedure for finding out the IP address. Power it up, take the Cat5e cable, plug it into any one of the orange ports that you wish, Again, the blue port on this router is the internet or WAN port. Again, you can just put a piece of tape over that so that you never plug a cable in there and expect it to work, because we'll never be using that port in this configuration. So take the other side of the Cat5e cable, plug it into the laptop like we did before, and we're going to go through the same procedure of logging into the router, changing its IP address, and configuring it correctly for our current network. Okay, now we're going to configure the third router, and it's the same procedure as the second router, more or less, just a different IP address. So we're going to right-click the network icon down here, open, and then click on Open Network and Sharing Center. Then we're going to go to Change Adapter Settings. And again, I'm connected to Wi-Fi here and also Ethernet, but Ethernet's where you want to go because that's where we got the cable for the router plugged in. So right-click that, choose Status. Then choose Details, and you see here that we have default gateway again of 192.168.0.1, DHCP 0.1 again, and DNS server 192.168.0.1 again. So again, the router is on that same IP address, so we're going to go and log into it. So I'm just closing this stuff off. In your router window, we're going to type in 192.168.0.1. And again, we get a TpLink admin page here. Default password is admin, lowercase. Sorry, username is admin, lowercase. Password is the same, admin, lowercase. And it's in the quick setup because I reset the router, but it doesn't matter. First place we want to go to is DHCP. We want to disable that. Hit save. It says it won't change until you reboot it. That's fine. Okay, now we're going to go to network and LAN. And here we're going to change the IP address from 192.168.0.1 to 1.3, as you saw in the diagram that I had below. Basically, this is going to be the third router. So it's going to use the 192.168.1.3, and click Save. And of course, it says this will make the router reboot, and that's perfectly fine. We'll let it do that. And at this point, once it reboots, we'll lose it because it'll change its IP from 0.1 to 1.3. But it doesn't matter because we're done here. At this point, we can disconnect the router and we can go and connect back to our regular, our home router, or the first primary router. So I've just disconnected it from the network and actually turned it off. And back to our primary router, we need to do one more configuration on it. So let's go and log in. And the primary router, of course, is on 192.168.1.1, and I'm connected to it through Wi-Fi here. Okay, so let's go into it. And its username, because it's a Netgear, is admin, and the password is password. That's the defaults for the Netgear. I'll log into that. Now, one thing I want to show you too is that Netgear has two different interfaces. This is the one interface, the Genie, and let me go get the IP address or the address for the second one here. All right, so now we're into the router. I wanted to show you the two different interfaces, but just quickly here, we're going to go and set up this internet configuration on this router so that it will allow the other two routers to be connected. So I'm going to click on Advanced here. We're going to go to Setup, and I will show you this setting in both interfaces for Netgear. We have the Netgear Genie here, and we have the standard Smart Wizard page here, which is one of the two ways you're going to see your interface depending on which firmware you're running on a Netgear. And here we're going to go to LAN Setup on the Advanced tab. And notice that the router is using DHCP server, which is the way it should be. It should be running the DHCP server only on the main router. But the way Netgear sets up the router, it's basically the DHCP server is giving out IP addresses to everything on your network. And every device on your network needs to have a unique IP address. Only issue is that no two, if two items on your network have a duplicate IP address, either one of the devices will probably not work. Now, the way that NetGear sets up DHCP is basically they assign all IP addresses for everything on your network, and that won't work well if it assigns the same IP address as one of your two routers. So what I'm going to do here is make a little bit of space in the range of IP addresses that the DHCP server is assigning to allow us some space to put our own IP addresses on those two routers, so which, you know, we've already set them up, but we need to make space on the network for those two IP addresses. So what I've done is I put a starting IP address of 192.168.1.10, and it goes to 254. That gives us a total of 9 IP addresses that we can actually assign anything we want to. Okay, so to anything we want, that is. So here we're going to hit apply, and it's going to go through the gear there, but I'm going to show you where that is on the regular or the older IP setup on the NetGear. And again, you scroll down here to advanced, then you see LAN IP setup here. There we go. Advanced LAN setup. And you see again it's set for 2, and then the highest number being 254. So here you would just set 10 and then hit apply. Okay, so we've done that here. So we're done setting up the IP address range for DHCP server on the NetGear. The TpLink, you don't need to do this with, because the TpLink actually starts the IP assignments at 100 and goes to 199. So there's lots of space in the DHCP assignment for a TpLink router. So you don't need to bother with it. But in NetGear you do, and that's why I'm showing you it here. So we're done with that. Now we got to physically connect all 3 routers together. And once they're physically connected, they are more or less done. They will be doing what I said they would be doing, which is sharing out the internet to all 3 routers and anything connecting to them. So after connecting them physically, the next thing we're going to do is actually configure the Wi-Fi so that it functions in the most efficient and effective manner possible. And I'll show you how to do all that next. I've got all 3 routers connected now. The main router is connected to the internet, and all the other 2 routers as well. So I'll show you how that's physically done. I've got a patch cable to one of the orange ports. Doesn't matter which one you choose. I chose 1 here on the 3rd router. It goes over to the 2nd router into one of the orange ports there, which are the LAN ports. On both of those, the orange ports are the LAN ports. Then I've got another one going from another one of the orange ports on the 2nd router over to the primary router, which is the NetGear, on one of the orange ports there. Now, again, I stated that you don't really have to connect this one to this router. You can actually connect the 3rd router into one of these 3 ports as well. But I've got it, you know, running from 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is show you how this all works. I would suggest that we're also going to do the configuration of the wireless on all of these. And though you can do it through being connected through Wi-Fi, I strongly suggest that you don't do it being connected through Wi-Fi, because as you change the settings, you'll be kicked off. So what I'm going to do is use another LAN cable like this one and connect to the main router on the back of one of these ports here, and take the other end of it and physically connect to my laptop. And then we're going to go through all the routers and set up all the Wi-Fi so that it works in the most efficient and beneficial way possible for you. And I'll describe the scenarios where you can have different configurations to get better performance depending on your physical location of your routers. All right, we're hardwired into the main router, which is then wired into all the rest of them. So what we're going to do is go over here to the network icon, right click it, again open Network and Sharing Center. Then we're going to go to change adapter settings, and I'm just going to disable my NetGear, my Wi-Fi connection, so that I'm only going through the LAN connection that I got physically connected to the router, which is right here. And so I'm just going to minimize this now, just get it out of the way for now. minimizing it because we're going to come back and turn it back on again. But regardless, you don't want to do the Wi-Fi configuration through a Wi-Fi connection. It's just way too convoluted. So let me show you something here. Wi-Fi connections run on what they call channels, especially 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi connections. They have 11 channels. Only 3 of those channels are actually independent of each other. In other words, they don't overlap. And that is 1, 6, and 11. Okay, so those 3 channels are what you want to use for your 3 routers. So we're going to set the channels first, and as you can see here on the picture, I've got them showing of which routers I'm going to put the numbers on, and I also show that the signals do overlap, but it doesn't matter because they're on the independent channels that don't actually interfere with each other. So let's go do that first. So open up the browser window. We're going to go to 192.168.1.1. If mine would actually start typing for me, 192.168.1.1. There we go. And we're going to log in to my NetG router, which is admin password. And okay, so it's saying I'm currently logged in from another device. I'm going to go, click on proceed here. Yes. And it's going to ask me to log in again. Resetting my other routers here. Just bear with me for a second. And here we're going to go again, admin. It's kind of an annoying thing, but log in again. There we go. All right, so now we're in. We want to go to wireless. So we're going to go to click on wireless here. And here you see that the channel is set to auto. Okay. Well, that means it'll bounce around anywhere it feels like putting itself. So here we're going to change this to 1, as it is our primary router, as I showed in the picture here. First router is number 1. And I'm going to change the name of the SSID to first router, but I'll show you that. We'll do that a little later. Right now, we're just changing channels. So we change that channel to 1, hit apply. Perfect. Open up another browser window here. And we're going to go to 192.168.1.2, which is the second router. Again, admin and default password, admin again, lowercase for the TpLink. And we're going to go to wireless there too. Again, notice the channel is on auto, which means it could be anywhere. So I'm going to change this to 6, and I'm going to hit save there. All right. And open up another browser window here, and we're going to go to 192.168.1.3. And again, access to the router. So notice how I have access to all 3 routers through one connection, no problem at all, which is the way things should work. So again, admin, lowercase again for the password, admin, in again. So here we're going to go to wireless. And again, the channel's to auto. All these manufacturers set the channel to auto for some reason. I'm going to change it to 11. So I'm going to hit save. So now we have this configuration that I showed you. First router on channel 1, second router on channel 6, third router on channel 11. Now that's beautiful. That means that they won't actually interfere with each other when they're talking. This is an important thing. So that's step 1 of configuring the routers, the Wi-Fi on these routers. Step 2, I got a lot of questions on my other video. Hey Richard, I want to set the SSID to be the same as it is on the primary router, and because I don't want to keep changing or logging into the new router, I want it just to walk from one router to the other and have it switch automatically. Well, unfortunately, that's not the way this system works. That's not the way that Wi-Fi protocols work on, in a normal router situation like we have here. Now, if you have a whole home Wi-Fi setup, which is a $300 system, Wi-Fi system, which spreads Wi-Fi throughout your house and gives you the fastest Wi-Fi speed you can at all times. And I'll put a link to that in the video description below. But basically, unless you have that, you can't do this because when you have routers that are overlapping with each other, what happens is that your Wi-Fi connection will connect to the first router that answers the call to connect. Now, it may not be the strongest router. It doesn't necessarily matter that you're next to a really powerful router and the other router is in the other room. The other router may answer the call to connect before the more powerful one answers. So you never know which router you're going to be connected with with the configuration you see here on the screen. So I don't recommend this unless, let's go back over here, unless you have this situation where you have 3 separate zones that don't overlap. In other words, you can't see the other 3 routers from one other router using Wi-Fi. So if you're sitting in the living room and that's covered by the primary router, and you don't see the other 2 routers in that living room, yes, then you can have that Wi-Fi have the same address, same SSID or network name as the other 2. Again, notice that none of these overlap. So whenever you're in any one of the zones for one of those 3 routers, the only router you see is the one that you're in that zone for. Now this works because since there's no overlap, the second you take, let's say you're connected to a tablet, the second you take that tablet out of that zone, it disconnects from that Wi-Fi router and then starts looking for a new one. Then you walk into the other zone where there is a Wi-Fi router and it connects to that one automatically, as Wi-Fi 1. Again, same thing would happen if you walk from this zone over to this zone. Now, this is the only time I can recommend having the same SSID for all 3 routers. Okay, if we go back, I'll explain this again. Again, say you got your tablet and you connect to this router here, second router, okay? And you're connected as Wi-Fi 1. Well, that even though you're connected with your tablet and you walk into this zone, it won't let go of the green zone. It'll keep you connected to that green zone until you walk out of that zone into the next zone, which may be this zone here, in which case it will switch. But you could be right next to the other router and still be in the green zone and not be connected to the fastest, most powerful router you have just because you're standing next to it. That's just the nature of the way Wi-Fi works. I've tested this out. Trust me, you don't want to do this if you have overlap on your routers. So what I suggest you do is go to basically set these SSIDs as different, okay? So, you'll have Wi-Fi 1, Wi-Fi 2, and Wi-Fi 3. Now, the passwords can all be the same. You don't have to have separate different passwords for each one of them, just a different SSID for each router. So let's go set this up. I'll minimize this. Go back to our routers that we're already connected to through a LAN connection. And we're just going to call this Wi-Fi 1. Wi-Fi 1. And hit apply. And then we're going to go to the next router. And here we're going to call this one Wi-Fi 2. And hit save. And then we're going to go to the third router. And we're going to call it Wi-Fi 3. Give it names that make sense, Hit save. Now, all of these can have the same password, so I'll put that in here. Okay, so we've got all the names changed, and this thing's still rebooting here. So I'm going to go to wireless security here, and we're going to change the wireless password. All of them are going to be the same, so that makes it easier for you when you're setting them up, and me when I'm setting it up. So I'm going to hit save on that one. And we're going to go to the number 3 router over here. Go to wireless security. Again, change the password to the same as we had on the last one. Hit save. And now it says that you need to reboot. So I'm going to hit reboot here. And reboot. And hit OK. And this one doesn't say you need to reboot. So I'm thinking that it's taking the setting already. So let's go to wireless setting. Yeah, Wi-Fi 2. It's on channel 6. Wireless security is the right one. So let's go back to the NetG. It's a little slow. We've got wireless. Let's go to wireless security. Well, okay, I've got the right address or a passphrase in there already, or a password. And I can hit apply again, but it doesn't really matter. At this point, all my Wi-Fis are set up in a congruent and efficient and the least likely way to give you any trouble at all if you have overlap of the signals. Okay, so let's go look at our Wi-Fi over here. So, oh yes, we turned off Wi-Fi, the adapter. So let's go back and turn that back on. So right-click your network, open network sharing, change adapter settings, and enable your Wi-Fi. There we go. And I'm going to disconnect my LAN cable. There we go. That's off of there. We can close this off. Now we're connected through Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi only. And we should see all our routers. Well, we got Wi-Fi 1, Wi-Fi 2, Wi-Fi 3. How nice is that, right? So let's connect to Wi-Fi 1. It's asking us for the passphrase or password. I'm just going to paste it in there and hit next. And we're connected, and we should be on the internet right at this point. Let's open up a third window here, and let's go to Google. Yep, we're connected to the Wi-Fi 1, and we can surf the internet. So let's go do that for Wi-Fi 2. Same procedure again. Paste it in there. Next. All right, we're connected to Wi-Fi 2. See if we can browse Google Maps. Let's go there. Yep, there we go. We're connected. So let's go back. And let's go to Wi-Fi 3 next. And I just rebooted Wi-Fi 3, but I'm just going to connect to it here, see if it allows me. Yep. And Wi-Fi 3, just paste the password in there. Next. And it should let me in here in a second. Like I said, I just rebooted it. Wi-Fi 3 connected. So now we should be able to browse the internet, do whatever we want. So let's go to YouTube here. And we also should have access to all the, what do you call it? The routers. Oh yeah, great. There we go. YouTube. There we go. So we should still be able to see all our routers here. Yep, there's the TpLink on 3. And status here. TpLink on 2, and the Netgear Genie on 1. So let's see, let's go home. And log into it, admin, and oops, it's all lowercase. There we go. So, that's it. We've got all 3 routers configured, running perfectly, all the Wi-Fi connected and labeled right and in a way that makes sense, and also so that they don't overlap and basically disable each other. Working beautifully. All the channels are set on those Wi-Fi settings. If you set your network the way I just showed you to set these 3 routers, it should work flawlessly. Now you can add a 4th router, but again, at that point you're getting into that, hey, only 3 channels on Wi-Fi, do not crosstalk. So once you introduce the 4th one, you're gonna introduce a little bit of lag into your Wi-Fi. But you know, if you're going for 4, put it far away from your other router, and if it doesn't overlap, you should be fine. Okay. So next, basically there is no next. That's it. We're all set up. As you can see, we've got access to the internet. We've got 3 Wi-Fi connections running. Right here, Wi-Fi 1, Wi-Fi 2, Wi-Fi 3. You connect to whatever one you want, anytime you want, and you can browse the internet through, and also see any of your network devices on whatever Wi-Fi connection you go on, or whatever way you're connected to the routers. Beautiful. Okay, so that's how you connect 3 routers together, or your home router to 2 other routers, and make them share the internet and network resources. Okay, that's it for my video. If you liked this video and it helped you out in some way, do me a very big favor and give me a like or a thumbs up at the bottom right hand corner of the screen. And basically that helps my videos, it helps my channel, and I greatly appreciate it. Also, somewhere here on the screen you should see a picture of me. That is a subscription link to my channel. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, you just subscribe to my channel, and as you're subscribing, you'll see that there's a little bell icon next to it. That's the notification bell. If you click that, anytime I put up a new video, you'll be notified that I have a new video posted, and then you can watch it at your own leisure. Once again, and just like always, I want to thank you all for your time and for watching.